Can headphone use cause hearing loss? In short, the answer is yes. Prolonged or excessive use of headphones or earphones can cause hearing loss. This type of hearing loss is called noise induced hearing loss. There are two factors which are important in this. First is the duration of exposure, which is measured in hours. Second is the intensity of exposure, which we measure in decibels. Excessive noise exposure can happen in two forms. First is sudden and loud noise, like a blast, firecracker, very loud DJ, artillery shell, like in army men. Second, which is more common, is a prolonged noise exposure over time, like listening to loud music, traffic policemen, factory workers, musicians. Now, what are the symptoms of noise induced hearing loss? When would we know? So, there are only two symptoms. First is decreased hearing. Initially, the hearing loss is only at a frequency of 4000 Hz, which is generally not evident to us. But when the lower frequencies like 1000, 2000 Hz, they are affected, then we start feeling hearing loss more and more. The second problem we would face is a whistling or buzzing noise in the ear, which is called tinnitus, like ting. This tinnitus can be an early sign of noise induced hearing loss. Now, how do we diagnose this condition? How the hearing loss due to noise is diagnosed? So, if you feel any hearing loss or tinnitus, then your doctor will first check your eardrum and then they will get a hearing test, which is called pure tone audiometry. This test will typically detect a pattern where the hearing loss is more at a frequency of 4000 Hz, and above and below this frequency the hearing would be normal. This is the initial curve. But if the noise exposure is continued, then this notch will keep on deepening and widening. So it will involve more and more frequencies. Is the hearing loss caused by headphones reversible or not? So the answer is both yes and no. Because this type of hearing loss, it falls into two categories: a temporary threshold shift and a permanent threshold shift. Temporary threshold shift means that it lasts for a maximum of 2 weeks and it can be reversible. But permanent threshold shift, it does not generally recover, and if the noise exposure is continued, it will get worse and worse. Now, what are the guidelines for safe noise exposure? According to Ministry of Labour, Government of India Factories Act, noise exposure up to 90 decibels per day for 5 days in a week is the maximum safe limit for factory workers. There is a 5 decibel rule, which means that with every 5 decibel increase in noise, the permitted time exposure is halved. For example, if for 90 decibel the permitted time exposure is 8 hours a day, for 95 decibel it will be only 4 hours a day. For 100 decibel it will be only 2 hours a day, and so on. Now, these are the government guidelines. For normal people, we generally recommend to follow a 60-60 rule, which means 60 decibel of noise for maximum 60 minutes at a time. Also, we advise to keep the phone volume at 60% of its maximum and never cross the danger threshold, which the mobile manufacturers, they also recommend. Now we will discuss what are the common scenarios where noise induced hearing loss can take place and how we can prevent it. So if we know which people are at risk for this type of hearing loss, we can proactively prevent it by doing an annual audiogram, annual testing of hearing. So first scenario is listening to loud music or songs continuously for a long time. Second, listening to loud music while working out in a gym. So what happens during workout, the physical exercise, blood flow is diverted to the muscles, and the metabolites from the noise, they keep collecting in the inner ear and they are not washed out. So it increases the risk of noise induced hearing loss. Number 3, using headphones in a background noise. For example, when there is some loud music already playing in the gym, but still we use headphones. So our headphone volume has to be higher than the ambient sound. So that will also increase the risk of noise induced loss. Number 4, traffic policemen, any house or shop near the noisy road. Number 5, army people who are involved in artillery firing, musicians. Number 6, people who work in restaurants, bars, discos. Now, how to prevent noise induced hearing loss? So number one is limit the time of exposure. Number two, limit the volume of exposure. Number three, use headphones rather than earphones. Number four, avoid loud music, especially during workout. Number five, use earplugs. If you are working in a loud noise, then there are ready-made earplugs made of silicone and other materials. These are available online, but if there is any issue with their fitting, then custom-made earplugs can also be made from our clinic. Number six, install sound-absorbing tiles or curtains if your house is near a noisy place. Number seven, regular hearing test if you are at the risk of noise-induced loss. Number 8, avoid certain medicines which can affect the hearing, like gentamicin, certain malaria medicines, and even some blood pressure medicines also. So if you are at a risk of such hearing loss, then you would let your doctor know. So they will take care and not prescribe these medicines. Now there is generally no good treatment or medicines which are available, which can reverse this type of hearing loss. So prevention is definitely better than cure in this scenario.